Good afternoon everyone and welcome back to another episode of Planet Coaster Alton Towers. In today's episode I'm going to be working on the maintenance shed, a few bits of the lift hill, the remaining supports and the exit path for Oblivion. If you're not subscribed to the channel and you do enjoy these daily Planet Coaster Alton Towers videos, then please do consider subscribing because it helps out the channel a lot more than you think. With that being said, let's get into the first time lapse where I'm going to be working on the maintenance shed. Right then, so to start off today's video we are of course doing the maintenance shed, and I'm starting with doing all the foundations and extending the actual transfer track for Oblivion as well. Oblivion's transfer track is surprisingly small. Well, not really small in general terms, I mean small as in its footprint, that's what I meant. Yeah, it's a surprisingly small transfer track compared to other transfer tracks on coasters, but yeah, like I said, start off doing the maintenance shed. One thing that I want to talk a bit about is, on a previous video someone commented I'm doing recreations of my own, like what tips do you have? And personally, the tips I would give you is basically don't use gridded items. Don't use gridded items. I know they're tempting, but gridded items can really restrict your creativity and the detail you put into creations in Planet Coaster. You'll come out with much better results if you just use non-gridded items, such as like Team TK items. Like I've been using the plaster wall pieces from the Filmmakers Toolkit workshop for a lot of this Oblivion recreation because they work so well. Honestly, try your best not to use gridded items because they really do pull you back and they really do limit the amount of detail you can put in. And also another tip I would have as well is try not to overwork yourself. I know it's ironic me saying that with me pumping out these daily Planet Coaster Alton Towers videos, but yeah, it's hard not to burn yourself out because when you do, you're not motivated and you just end up at a dead end really with Planet Coaster. I've ended up at a dead end with so many of my Planet Coaster projects in the past, and most of them have been like custom parks. I've just quit them. Like I can name a few: Lake Willis, Colcan Lake, a few years ago, not years ago, but like last year or something. Yeah, some of those parks I just gave up on because I just didn't enjoy building them anymore because I overworked myself with them. So yeah, just don't do that. So here I'm actually outlining the X-Cite building, which is of course Oblivion's shop and the whole amusement building with all the arcade and everything. I say Oblivion shops in it, I mean there isn't an Oblivion shop anymore, isn't there? There hasn't been an Oblivion shop since 2016, so you know, can't really call it that anymore. But yeah, it's basically the exit building, let's just say that. In terms of the detail I'm going to put into X-Cite for next episode, I'm not going to do the arcade because it's just a pointless thing to put detail into when we could be using that piece count for elsewhere in the park. You know, the idea is not to put detail into small pointless things. And here I'm starting Oblivion's exit path, which comes out of the station and of course goes into X-Cite where you can view your on-ride photos and everything. Now one thing about Oblivion's exit path that I never really noticed, I know that it's elevated, but I never really notice it, to be honest. You don't notice that the path's elevated above the ground. It's not at ground level. It's basically a bridge, Oblivion's exit path, isn't it? It's a bridge that just goes over a few bushes and plants, and actually you get some really fantastic views of Oblivion's lift hill and Oblivion's drop as well from the exit path. Really good views of the lift hill. Also, with the maintenance shed, you also get some really good pictures of the maintenance shed when there's trains in there, when they're working on trains. I just love how the maintenance shed is so easily visible. Literally, it's right next to the public path. And then you got other maintenance sheds in the resort where you can't really see into them. Like Nemesis, you can kind of see into Nemesis's maintenance shed, but not that much. Galactica's is just way out the way, as well as Smiler's maintenance shed is out the way. Runaway Mine Train and Octonauts doesn't really have a maintenance shed. And Wickerman, well, you go through the maintenance shed of Wickerman, but of course, you know, it's all blacked out, you don't see anything. So here I'm actually starting the sort of high up fences that prevent you from actually getting onto lift hill. Of course, they can't have people getting onto lift hill. I say that, but like, I have actually seen people climb these sort of fences, most recently in Nemesis queue line, It wasn't like last year, this was like a few years ago, but it was definitely not before, but it was definitely after the refurbishment of Nemesis and they repainted all the track. I witnessed someone like climb the fence of Nemesis. Like they obviously didn't intend to get over the fence, they were just doing it as a joke. They climbed up on it and actually got quite high up. It was right next to the vertical loop, the part of the queue line that goes past the vertical loop, and they got into the station and they were actually met by Alton Tower security. And I just found it hilarious because it was right at the end of the day. Everyone was having their last rides of the day, and they were like saying, "Oh, why should we leave? Why should we leave? You're gonna leave anyway, and you broke the rules as well." I just find it so funny because it's basically karma. They literally, as soon as they got into the station, they got into their seats, and then Alton Tower security was just like, "Hey up, right, get out." It was so funny. I of course didn't laugh out loud, but like I was just laughing in my head. Another thing that I want to talk about is something that's actually happening today with Alton Towers, of course. Today is the 6th of June, it's Saturday, and Alton Towers are back open. Well, the park isn't open, but the gardens are open, and we've got a few pictures of inside the park. It looks like people are able to walk around, the Wicker Man area and around the towers, but most importantly the gardens as well. Yeah, I saw a few pictures on Twitter earlier whilst I was building this in Planet Coaster. Of course, my routine is I get up early in the morning, I do work in Planet Coaster, I edit the video around midday like I am now, and then I upload it. So, you know, all of this news and everything that's happening, when I talk about it in videos, this is basically fresh news and what's happening during today, not what's happening today. Sorry, I'm losing my words here. God, I'm over talking here, I don't know. But yeah, one thing I have to say from the gardens opening and seeing all these pictures is that it's so depressing. It's so depressing to see Alton Towers so empty at this time of the year. Because of course, theme park enthusiasts would know that this time of the year is school trip season, when all the school trips are at the end of the academic year and they all go to Alton Towers for trips as a celebration or something, and the park gets exceedingly busy. I remember a few years ago in 2018 when one of the days in June, Nemesis was at like a 90-minute queue in the middle of June. That's how busy school trip season gets. And I see all the photos of Tower Street and they got like bunting and everything all down Tower Street to celebrate the 40th anniversary, and it's so depressing that they haven't been able to celebrate the 40th anniversary like they would have wanted. I mean, they had a lot of events planned this year, like there was a few CBeebies Land events, there was events for Gangster Granny the Ride and World David Williams, and of course the Oktoberfest event, which was supposed to be this year as well. I mean, that is later this year. They haven't said if Oktoberfest and Scarefest and Fireworks are cancelled just yet, because those are the autumn events basically for this year. But if you ask me, I personally don't see Scarefest happening with Scare Mazes this year. They might still do the Scarefest event, but just shows and theming. Because honestly, with social distancing stuff, how can they do Scare Mazes? Seriously, Scare Mazes, they're small, confined, and the actors get right up in your face to scare you. How can they do that with social distancing, really? So they might still do Scarefest, but just without Scare Mazes, who knows? I mean, it is quite a few months away, and the situation probably will be a lot better by the time Scarefest does come around, but, you know, they do start setting up the Scare Mazes, like, next month, really. They normally start setting up Scare Mazes in the towers in July, so they do need to make the decision to do or not. And with that being said, actually, we've come to the end of today's video. I'm sorry I've been ranting on about a few things, but I just wanted to talk about these things with you in today's video instead of just commenting on Planet Coaster, because it gets a bit boring sometimes. But yes, thank you very much for watching. If you're not already subscribed, then please do consider subscribing, because it helps out the channel a lot more than you think. And with that being said, I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Goodbye.